Well, they came a long way from colder climes to play this one. Two teams from New England meet up, as it is the Amherst College Mammoths, the number 6 team in the country, as they take on the Keene State Owls. Amherst out of Massachusetts, just over the Connecticut border. Keene out of Keene, New Hampshire. As the Owls, the Owls come in. They are a very young team, a very new roster, and looking for a spark for a program that's a couple years removed from being one of the better teams in the Little East Conference. And it's a very tall order in more ways than one for Keene today. They take on an Amherst College team that's fresh off a double-digit victory over DeSales. They take on an Amherst College team that's been the elite program in Division III over the last 4 seasons with a couple of undefeated national championships. And Ira, they take on an Amherst team that is just so hard to score against in terms of their defense.
I thought yesterday Amherst did a very good job of regrouping in the second half. They were challenged by a very game top 10 DeSales squad, but second half, especially in the third quarter, Amherst, a 28-12 run, shut down the Bulldogs. Tough test here for, again, Keene State squad. They're very young, as you mentioned, just 2-7 on the year. It's crazy you have to go all the way across the country to play a game that could easily play in New England. But I think this would be a good barometer for this young Owl squad. You know, Amherst, Tufts, those are your 2 top teams, arguably almost every year in the New England region. And if you're a young squad, in a league that, quite frankly, there are a lot of openings to the NCAAs. It's not a league where it's a 1 or 2 teams that clearly have everything in their hands. So for a Keene State squad that's building, obviously they'd like to have a strong finish to this year, but they're building to the future as well. So why not have a game against one of the best teams in the land and see where you stand?
Courtesy of our producer, you saw the starting lineups and you heard them for the 2 teams. Again, Keene State 2-7 under Keith Boucher, graduate of Plymouth State. 29th year as the head coach, been a long time at Keene State. And while the last couple of seasons have been rough, the Owls were 4-21 last year and 2-7 this year. They're not that far removed from winning the Little East Conference in 2017. Little East, a conference of state universities throughout state colleges, public schools from throughout New England, Eastern Connecticut, Massachusetts, Dartmouth, Castleton, Western Connecticut, Plymouth State, some of the other programs in that conference. Amherst out of the NESCAC, the New England Small College Athletic Conference. That is the premier conference in Division III women's basketball. A conference of 11 elite liberal arts schools from throughout New England, plus Hamilton, who's in Clinton, New York. But Amherst and Keene State, we are underway. The Mammoths in the home whites, white and purple. Keene in the road reds. As this is Hannah Fox, who has a chance to become the all-time scoring leader at the D3Hoops.com Classic with, I think, 9 points will get her there.
That should take, about 5 minutes?
She was red hot last night. She had 43 last year. It's a classic record against Westfield State, which is also out of New England, but not in that conference. And the shot is up and good, but it does not count. And they will wave it off, traveling violation on Jordan Burke, as Amherst gets the ball here on their second possession. Hannah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's really 2 ways to get to that record if you're a player like Hannah Fox. Number 1, you could play
you could go to Ramapo and play.
Well, you could 2 ways. You could either play a Simpson or some kind of a system style. I said Simpson, that's not the team I'm thinking of. But system style. Grinnell. Wrong Iowa school.
Yeah.
But that kind of offense for 2 games here. Or you come every year like at Amherst, Ramapo, and be a dominant player on that team for 3 or 4 years. And she's been a player who at this tournament has put on her best consistently. And Ramapo's here every year. Amherst, this scheduling-wise for them has actually ended up becoming convenient just because of the difficulty for them to get games.
Amherst has a hard time getting games, and an offensive foul on Keene State will turn the ball over. Mammoths will, as soon as this one's over, hop in a bus, drive 3.5 hours west of here to Los Angeles, play 2 games against schools out of the Southern California Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, back in the bus to the airport, fly to Boston, home for a day, and then back in the bus again to drive about 6.5 hours to Philadelphia, where they'll play Widener just south of the city of brotherly love, and then back in the bus and back north for whatever's left of Christmas break before conference play starts.
This is the life of a team that's one of the best in the country that nobody wants to play.
Yeah. Keene State, Owls with the ball. This is Hayla DeRozier, one of the talented freshmen for the Owls, joined on the court by Kenzie Bennett. That's Bennett right there. And we've got Tamara Gagne from Meriden, Connecticut. Outside, into the hands of DeRozier. 3 on the shot clock, and Keene State throws the ball away. 3 possessions, 2 without a shot attempt. This is Hannah Fox. Fox joined by Courtney Resch, Cam Hendricks, Madeline Eck, who's also an All-American, and a first-team All-American at that, oh, by the way, and Kate Sullivan, the 5 on the floor for Coach Gramacki, as the pass is down the floor and knocked away.
It's crazy how X sometimes gets lost because of Fox, who actually was a third-team All-American, not a first-team like Eck. Fox has so many standout games that X's brilliance sometimes gets overshadowed.
When we, a couple of seasons ago, Fox ended up, that hit the official, so that stays in bounds. And Burke does a good job to save it somehow.
She broke the plane of the goal line, but wrong sport.
Yeah. Because we had named Hannah Fox All-American when Eck was the higher postseason conference honoree, and the college understandably asked about that, as that shot is up and good, and Keene State with an early lead. Haley DeRozier, and the explanation was Fox is just what she brings to the court at that point was so unique and so special. And Eck was playing with a number of other forwards, Emma McCarthy among them, that were somewhat similar. And now, as with those forwards blossomed, it's probably the other way around, where Eck's game is the more unique of the two, although both are very, very good.
I mean, the career that both of these young ladies have had to play, and when you're an All-American, obviously you're getting all of the attention, but when you have another All-American on your team that could take some of that away and not allow opponents to concentrate on you as much, it's such a great luxury. One of the reasons this squad has had so much success, despite having such a small roster, they play so cohesively together.
Foul on, I thought she said 31. Oh, 32, okay. 23, Kenzie Bennett, one of the lone seniors for Keene State. It's an exceptionally young roster. They've got 2 seniors. They've got one junior, and pretty much everybody else is a freshman.
Yeah, and their leading scorer is a freshman right now, Haley DeRozier. We keyed in on her in the starting lineups as a player to watch here, a freshman guard out of Vernon, Vermont. Not a great three-point percentage on the year at 29%, but she's scoring at 11 points a game, and she has 28 assists in 9 games, so certainly a player to watch for Keene.
Now, Keene is coming off a win over Mass Boston, and there's a 3, and the Owls are up 5-0 here. Who? The Owls. They're coming off a win over Mass Boston, who's 9-1, and just beat number 10 Messiah by 10 points today in Puerto Rico. So, Keene State, if you could be a dangerous 2-7, they are. 5-0 lead here, as Amherst has not apparently woken up for this one yet. Shot up off the glass, no good. Last touch by Danny Valdez, who had a good game yesterday. That's out of bounds. And we're going to get Gabrielle Zafiro into the game, who started every game this season up until yesterday. Keene State bringing the ball up the floor, up 5-0 early on. Owls with the ball.
This is the second of 6 games today. This is certainly a marathon today. Last game nearly went to overtime, and can you imagine how that would have altered the schedule for the rest of the day?
I can. Not positively is the answer. Haley DeRozier outside for Bennett. 3 on the shot clock. Bennett will get off a 3, top of the arc. Off the back of the rim, no, and Hannah Fox there for the rebound.
Fox gets up so high despite not being one of the taller players on the court. Boxed out well, gets to that ball.
Valdez shot no good. That's off the rim, no good. And a foul called on Keene State's senior guard. That's Hien Thak with one of the few seniors on the roster. Bio major picks up the foul. Amherst with the basketball. Still scoreless are the Mammoths. Pass into the post. Madeline Eck wearing her traditional number 12 today. Shot is up and rolls home for Danny Valdez.
Well, it took Amherst 5 minutes to score here. They started off slowly yesterday, quite frankly. They were not consistent in that first half. I wonder at what point in this game they'll finally put everything together, how long Keene State could stay with them.
Ooh. Madeline Eck rejects that one. That was clearly a block as Zafiro comes down the floor. Got it, count it, going to the line. Gabby Zafiro with a chance to get this game even. Amherst 2 for 8 to start the game. Zafiro has a chance to get this one even. DeRosa's shot swatted away and leads to a fast break the other way for Amherst. A couple seasons ago when they were undefeated national champs, they had held their opponent under 40 points on the season on an average, including through the NCAA tournament, including a game where they held their opponent to, I think it was Becker, to something like 18 points. So DeRosa peels off. Nice move by DeRosa, who's got soft touch there. Haley DeRosa, the freshman, as Ira mentioned, 11 points per game. Also leads the team in assists, steals, and blocks. And a nice-looking feathery jumper there for the Owls freshman. It's 7-4, Keene State.
Well, it's a team right now, they just don't know any better. They're playing, seems to me, with very little pressure. It's their first ever appearance in this tournament, Gordon. This is the 4th trip for Amherst. And I look at it, I kind of compare them a little bit to Carnegie Mellon in the women's soccer championship this year, who had never been in that experience before and kind of just played and didn't think about it, and sometimes it's the best way to play this game.
Zafiro cans a 3. It's just her 3rd make on the season, just her 5th attempt. And we are tied at 7. Zafiro, who played limited minutes yesterday against DeSales. Kate Sullivan went the majority of the way, is the offensive star here, and Zafiro with the layup. She has got 7 points quickly.
And that could be the point where they've woken up, is fairly early.
And Zafiro and Amherst now with a 2-point lead. Keene State with the ball. Looking over the top of the defense is Jordan Burke, 5'10 junior from Bennington, Vermont. DeRosa, the freshman, passes into the lane, deflected by Zafiro, but Keene State hangs on to it. The shot clock did not reset. Talk collides with Fox, and ball controlled by Courtney Resch. Zafiro into the lane, weaves her way in, shot no good, blocking foul called. Free throws coming here for Gabby, and she has taken over this game offensively. Zafiro, a sophomore from Glen Head, New York. That is on Long Island, I would imagine.
It is, and she's, of course, going to be one of those players you would imagine with Eck and Fox graduating that is going to take on more of a leadership role as she goes into her junior year next year. But, averaging close to 10 points a game, a great three-point shooter in limited opportunities this year, and a pretty good shooter from the field, over 51%. You want to see, if you're Amherst, some of these other players emerge, under the guidance of the 2 All-Americans, and see how they're going to move into the future years. Kate Sullivan's only a junior, so she's got another year to follow as well. Courtney Resch, who is blocking more shots than anybody in this tournament, quite frankly, got 22 in 5 games entering the tournament prior to yesterday. Also only a sophomore, so I think Amherst, Gordon, has a good balance of those 2 experienced All-Americans and some up-and-coming players who are here now and probably ready to take that next step.
Zafiro picks up the foul.
Resch yesterday was credited officially with 3 blocks. I think we may have eyeballed a few others along the way.
Tamara Gagne misses the free throw on the 3-point play opportunity, but Keene State hanging in there, down by 1. That 3 is way off the mark from Cam Hendricks. And here comes the Owls the other way. Chirping for the ball is Lily Schliemann. 3 on the way, up and good.
Got a big high five there from Lily Schliemann as she crossed midcourt. You know what? Keene State's, they're hanging with Amherst here in this first quarter. Strong start. Amherst is a team that if they can blow you out in 1 quarter, that seems to be enough. It's been their ammo, during the year. I'll give you a great example. My women's team went up there in the first game of the season to Amherst and played well in their first quarter, but second quarter absolutely was blown off the floor. That was it.
Amherst has a way, including in this tournament, where I think it was something, was it a 50-0 run? Yeah, against WPI. And they have a way of just shutting you out for long stretches at a time. But hey, Keene State figuring things out so far. This is Madeline Eck, the first-team All-American at the free throw line. Madeline gets her first 2 points of the game. We're tied at 12.
Keene State, they lost their first 6 games of the season and then started to put it together right before finals when they won 2 of their last 3, beat Fitchburg State, and then the UMass Boston game you were discussing earlier, and only lost by 2 on the road against Castleton. So they clearly have been playing better basketball as this young squad, Gordon, has gotten used to playing with each other. And they got a tough one tomorrow as well because Emmanuel, who obviously not ranked, but Emmanuel's knocked off Amherst this year.
Head coach Andy Yosinoff, who's the all-time leader in coaching victories, is just down media row to our right here. His Saints will play a little later against Milwaukee School of Engineering. Gagne tries to sneak it between 4 Amherst players. That does not work well. Fox down the other way. Hesitation dribble, blows by the defender. Shot's no good, though. And Leah Pelkey scoops up the rebound. Freshman from Wichenden, Massachusetts. Shot, block, and a foul called. Hendricks had the clean block, but Valdez picks up the blocking foul underneath, I think. Should be 13-12, yeah. Two free throws coming here for the Owls, who do lead. It is 13-12. Okay. Now it's 13-12.
Dave McHugh doing an amazing job producing.
That's a glimpse into the future. I predict another made free throw. All right, well, I won't be trying anything upstairs at the casino later on. 13-12.
Oh, I tried that about 3:30 in the morning. I had the most incredible experience. Saw somebody split kings. I've never seen that before, Gordon, playing blackjack.
So they beat the Monarchs in men and lost in women, or?
Well,
that's a deep D3 joke.
Oh, well, listen, it got better. I'll let the quarter.
Fox with 2 on the shot clock, gets a shot off, but no good. Ball bounces around. Oh, ricochets to Valdez.
Dealer had an 8 showing, so I had a 14, so I hit on that.
Okay.
The guy had 2 kings. He splits the kings, and then he blamed me for hitting on the 4 for the fact that he lost.
He didn't blame you on the fact that it was 3:30 in the morning. You guys are at the poker table or whatever it is.
Hey, I didn't get to sleep till 4, and I was still with you. I was up at 8 a.m. today.
Your instant energy, there's no doubt.
I just bottle myself.
12 seconds on the shot clock here. The Owls are on top, and the shot blocked, but a foul underneath. Valdez got ball, but I think somebody else may have gotten butt.
I think actually Hendricks on the way down.
Okay.
I think Hendricks did catch her on the arm, which is going to send number 5, Jenny Friedman, to the line, where she's only a 54% foul shooter on the year so far.
Yeah, Keene State, and kind of part and parcel of being 2-7, they are a 57% free throw shooting team, which is awful.
Yeah, and to counter that, their opponents are shooting 72%, so that's a big discrepancy each game.
15-12, steal there by the Owls, put it up, oh, just off the mark. But a good first quarter for Tamara Gagne and a good first quarter for the Owls. Gagne has 9, and the Owls, who have a 15-12 lead. I promise last time I used that line. We'll take a break, come back, second quarter coming up, Keene State and Amherst in just a bit.
Receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
You may not realize it, but these words, often used to describe someone with a mental health condition, can be very harmful. In a country where 1 in 5 people are affected by a mental health condition, it's time for all of us to step up and change the conversation. Just because someone's struggle isn't obvious on the outside doesn't mean they aren't hurting on the inside. We need to see the person, not the condition. Join with me, pledge to be stigma-free.
Welcome back to the South Point Arena, where the underdog Keene State Owls lead the Amherst Mammoths by a score of 15. All right, well, now the score sheet says 16-12, and the scoreboard says 15-12, so I'm confused. Do we split the difference? Is it 15.5 to 12?
15.5 to 12. Only in Vegas we can get the halves. No, good first half, though, first quarter, I should say, for Keene State. I mean, anytime you're able to be on top of a two-time national champion, I know they didn't win last year, but a team that comes in 6th in the country, and you're 2-7, to me, that's a successful quarter. How long can it keep this stamina going up? You know, against a more experienced squad that has that ability, as we were discussing earlier, to shut you down for long stretches? So that's to be seen.
Foul on the Owls. We'll keep the ball on the Mammoth side of the court. It's Eck, Valdez, Hendricks, Fox, and the inbounder, that's Kate Sullivan, the 5 on the floor for Amherst.
Amherst did not have a good second quarter yesterday against the Sale. Shot 28.6%.
And Amherst is not getting any kind of open looks. The Owls' defense here in the early going has been great.
No, Amherst, terrible shooting team in the first quarter today, 26%. Just very I almost said Lord Jeffs, almost very un-Mammoth-like if you look at their traditional shooting percentages. And Keene State, to their credit, shot 5 of 9, 3 of 5 from three-point range in that opening quarter, Gordon. They're just playing the game.
Well, we think it's 16-12. The shot is off the mark. Ball down the floor. Okay, but
Yeah, they fixed it. That's in the
all right, it is 15-12, not 16-12. Owls lead. And Hannah Fox to inbound. Fox, paint is totally clogged by the Owls on defense. Eck gets it, shot up and good. And Madeline Eck with 4 points now. Amherst down by 1.
This is a pretty little shot, little floater off 1 foot. She's able to use her size to get that space, and then that move is just perfect every time.
Talk shot blocked by Valdez, but a foul on the body, I guess. And Yen Talk is going to head to the free throw line. It's Valdez's second. Thack, first free throw, no good. And Bio Major. This is just Tien's 3rd free throw attempt of the year. And she's now 1 for 3. 15-14. Keene State's going to be serious about winning this game. Obviously, they're going to have to hit those. Fox, guarded by Hien. On the right side, Kate Sullivan slips off the screen, but Valdez had her back to it, so unable to get her the ball. Hendricks outside for Fox, 8 on the shot clock. Fox guarded by Hien, skips over. 3 attempt for Hendricks. That's not really her game. And that shot is off the mark. Hendricks, a 31% three-point shooter. She's actually tops on the team. Amherst as a team does not shoot threes well.
Gordon, have you noticed how Amherst so far in the first 12 minutes here has left so many of their shots short?
Yeah.
Tired legs, maybe? I mean, it's tough to say for just game 2 of this tournament. Yeah. It's a long road trip, but
I just don't think they're a very good long-range shooting team.
Even from short, they've left shots short in this game, from 12 feet and within.
Ball in the post outside Fox. Oh, big collision as Talk gets crushed by Madeline Eck. It was a clean screen. It was brutal, but she wasn't moving. It's just Talk just ran into a brick wall there.
Got to get communication from your teammates there. Let them know the screen is coming.
Yeah. Ball fumbled away, but Owls somehow come out of the pile with it. And it's Samantha Adamson, the freshman from Windham, New Hampshire.
By the way, Heen Tatch, I'll tell you what, she ran into that brick wall, doesn't seem phased at all. She's tough.
Tough player. 3 on the way, up and good for Hannah Fox. And That is Fox's first points of the game. She's now 1 for 6 after being red hot yesterday. Cooled off a little bit, but we were tied at 17 with a whole host of bodies waiting to check in. DeRosia, good touch, and Haley DeRosia's got such a soft touch on her jumper. Back to a 19-17 Keene State lead. Fox with Hendricks running behind her.
DeRosia's already 3 out of 6 from the field. Very strong debut.
Eck posting up. Good defense down low from the Owls, Leah Pelkey. And ball poked away. Actually, excuse me, it's not Pelkey. It's Katie Martineau, the freshman from Farmington, New Hampshire, giving up a lot of inches to Madeline Eck. Manages to poke the ball away. Yentok for the aforementioned DeRosia. All stolen away by Fox.
Good job there by Valdez to get some hands in there to block that away.
Fox, good dish. Wide open underneath is Valdez. Valdez catches and lays it up, and Coach Boucher going to take time out perhaps as much as anything to try and get those reserves who had been waiting a long time into the game. Is this a full or a 30? It is. It's a 30, so we'll keep it here. There it is.
Took 30 seconds to let us know it was a 30.
The timeout is over. Amherst 7 of 22 to start the game. Yes, 7 of 22. Keene State is 7 of 12, which, all right, the field goal percentage is really good, but with 10 fewer field goal attempts midway through the second quarter, that's not a pace you want to sustain. They had 9 turnovers in the game.
Yeah, they got 5 offensive rebounds so far for Amherst. It's led to 5 second chance points, and they got more size clearly inside. If they're able to use that to give themselves extra chances in this game, one way, listen, they're missing anything from about maybe 17 feet and out right now.
Yeah.
So they got to find a way to turn those misses into something productive.
Amherst, one of 3 Middle England Small College Athletic Conference teams in action today. Number 1, Tufts, is on the road in a neutral court game against College of New Jersey. Tufts defeating Christopher Newport yesterday. Jumbo's ranked number 1 in the country after Amherst lost. It was a rough week for Amherst in the Amherst-Tufts rivalry. First they lost the, didn't they lose the title game in women's soccer as a shot clock violation here? Didn't Tufts beat Amherst for the title, or have I got?
They did, and
in men's soccer,
Amherst had maybe the best player in the country on the men's side, and he was shut down in the title game. Tufts, Dave McHugh and I called that action down in Greensboro.
And then Amherst lost number 1 in the country on the women's side for basketball to Tufts.
Hey, even with that, I think most schools would sign up to have been in that spot.
Right. Nobody weeps too hard for Amherst athletics, I'm pretty sure, in terms of they're one of the elite programs pretty much all the way around. The only sport you got to kind of take them out of the mix in is football, because NESCAC doesn't participate in the playoffs. Although neither does Keene State. They don't have a football team. Free throw up and good.
No, they haven't lost a game in years.
No. Owls still waiting for confirmation that Mass Boston did beat Messiah by 10, which would be a big win for that conference. The confusion is that tournament is played in Puerto Rico, where
they don't have phones.
Well, the statistics are spotty at best. Back in the bad old days, you would wait days to even get a final score, and we're not entirely sure that Mass Boston actually was the home or the road team there. No, that's okay. Mass Boston did win that game, 62-52. So the Beacons with a big upset.
And a good block there by Shipley. Came out to defend that shot.
Amherst has taken the lead, but Keene State has taken the ball back.
No, I think Keene State and the Little East, I don't think the league gets the credit they deserve sometimes. You know, you think of the state school leagues in the country, and at the Division III level, the WIAC and the NJAC are the 2 that clearly are the ones who get the headlines. And, you know, they got the teams that have made a lot of the runs deep in a number of sports. But the Little East, that other state school conference similar to SUNYAC, that produces some pretty good quality programs in different sports.
Yeah, good point. And it's probably the second best conference in that region behind the NESCAC, Eastern Connecticut. They've got, well, NUMAC not on the women's side. Mass Dartmouth. There's some teams that have at least made it into the second weekend of the tournament. It's been a long time since the New Max had that.
You have a number of state school or public institutions is probably the better way to say that part of the country, because you have the CUNYAC as well, which is all
and the MASCAC,
city schools.
Massachusetts State College Athletic Conference. You split the public school college enrollment population a lot of different ways, and that's just at the D3 level. Shot up and good for Danny Valdez.
But it should also be no surprise that you have so many public schools in that part of the country, just because the population is so much greater than elsewhere.
I don't remember the number exactly, but Boston has something like 50 or 60 colleges on its own in the greater Boston area.
That's why it's one of the more fun college towns in the country.
23-20, trying to get this one even are the Owls, who are still hanging around. Hannah Fox with the rebound, Zafiro down the floor. Keene State's offense is understandably slowed down a little bit, and a wide open jumper there for Danny Valdez. Fox getting her teammates involved. It's the second assist for Fox. Valdez and Zafiro, the two reserves off the bench for Coach Gramacki, have a combined 16 points.
Yeah, but that last shot, all credit I think goes to Zafiro, because of her ability to change hands and go to a left hand and cut inside, left that shot wide open for her teammates.
Fox running the fast break, gives it off to Zafiro. Zafiro's shot no good. Rebound chased down by Sullivan, and then the Owls just kind of fling it to nobody around half court. Fox for three, yes. And a Fox with 6 points. And now closing in on that D3Hoops.com classic record for the most points scored, would break the record held by Thomas Bonnicum.
Who didn't even know he had the record.
Yeah, All-American from Ramapo, who's been here every year but one. Amherst with a 14-3 run since it was 15-12 or so.
To be honest, we didn't know it was a record until yesterday. We were curious who has scored the most points in the history of the tournament.
Jumper up. Shot no good there from Jordan Burke. Here comes Amherst back the other way, and this is kind of the patented Amherst run. Fox zips it off. Maggie Shipley drives in, and offensive foul called on the freshman from Arlington, Virginia, as she crashes into the Keene State defense.
That was one of those records when we were trying to, figure it. Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes the stats could just be added together, and you're able to do it automatically. But we had to sit down and think, all right, well, which teams have been here more than once?
Yeah.
And it could have been somebody who's been here twice. It didn't necessarily have to be a 3 or 4 year appearance. But Bonnicum was a great player for Ramapo, former All-American. So it's interesting enough that one All-American will break another All-American's record at this tournament.
Three was turned out to be an air ball. Haley DeRosia with a rare miss. And the Mammoths come back the other way, now up by 8. And tightening their grip on this game. Fox zigzags around the defender. Baseline jumper is up and good. Fox now with 8 points. And Mammoths with a 30-12 lead. This is now a 19-2 run here for Amherst. Outside. It's Gagne who had the good first quarter. Takes a look, but does not take the shot. High arcing shot off the hands of the sophomore Jenny Friedman that barely draws glass. Fox the other way. Body control shot up, no good. Good rebound there by Jordan Burke.
When we talked about this long run here by Amherst, we knew at some point that they were going to go on a stretch where they held the opponents with very little to shoot for. And yesterday for DeSales did a nice job bouncing back after shooting 20% in the first quarter. But in the second half, Amherst absolutely shut the Bulldogs down. 16% in the fourth quarter, but it was over in the third when they outscored the Bulldogs 28-12. That's what this second quarter is right now for Keene State. They stayed with Amherst a while. And again, 12-point game, still manageable. There's still time to come back. But Amherst is probably one of the more difficult teams in the country to ever make a mount to rally against.
You saw DeSales, who's probably the best team in the Atlantic region, use a ton of timeouts in the third quarter yesterday because they were trying. They knew if they got to the fourth quarter down 12 that the game was effectively over. Even as good as they are, they just knew they weren't going to be able to come back after that.
There are some teams that you can make a run against. Amherst, just the way their style of basketball and just the high IQ that they play with, they don't turn it over. They don't make many mistakes. They don't force shots that you don't want to see a team taking when they have a big lead.
Yeah, they are really whatever would be a mirror image of three teams, Bowdoin, Tufts, and Amherst, who are arguably, if not the top three teams, top three of 6 teams in the country out of 450 teams. They play so similarly to each other.
The only thing I have, and I've seen a lot of Amherst basketball between this tournament and between my squad at NJC playing them now every year, the only thing I really haven't seen Amherst challenged with is a really good pressing team and how they would respond to that.
Well, get that a little bit from Tufts. Tufts is a little bit of a pressing team. His offensive foul drawn again. The big question, I think, for Amherst this year is, can they hit enough threes when they need to?
And I think there's also two kinds of presses. You can have a press against a squad that plays with strong basketball IQ and kind of knows how to cut those angles. And then you got some athletic teams that just throw, girls who can run at you. And there's two different kinds of presses. Which one are you able to handle in those big moments? For Amherst, they're not going to be challenged every night. No. So how they respond in some of those situations is going to come to help them in the NCAA tournament.
Well, dominant second quarter here for Amherst, and they go into the break on top. It's the Mammoths 33 and the Keene State Owls 20. We'll take a break and come back in just a few with your first half numbers. Game number 2 with the D3Hoops.com Classic at the midway point.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that. And it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
This is why we love sports. It's in the way they play, free from the pressures and all the money talk. Playing for simply the love of the game, where everyone has a shot at their definition of success on and off the field. This is what we love about sports, and what we can still love about college sports.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
It starts right when you hit the court. You imagine your finest moment. The game-winning shot that gets you to the dance, a monster dunk or no-look pass, and cutting down the net. Sports lets us dream of our own success and prepare us for our finest moments on and off the court.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
I coined my definition of success in 1934. My definition of success is peace of mind attained only through self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to do the best of which you're capable. It's like reputation and character. Reputation is what others perceive you to be. Character is what you are.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
I used to never really talk. Ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school. It's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
Studying in college taught me to strive and be the best athlete I can be, but also the best student I can be. My coaches always made sure that the student comes first, because not everyone's going to become a professional athlete. So they make sure that we will do great in academics. I knew that would only open the door to my future, and I'm really excited to start my dream program for physical therapy.
So, I had a feeling I was mispronouncing this. Number 10 for Keene State. That is how you pronounce their last name. The CH is a T in Vietnamese.
It's what?
Tien that. T, like the CH, just T-H-A-T. It's spelled like...
I had heat touch.
Okay, well... Welcome back here at the South Point Arena. Halftime of Game 2 of 6 on Day 3 of the 10th annual D3Hoops.com. If you catch all those numbers and you process them, good, because here comes some more. Here's your first half statistics, courtesy of our producer here, Dave McHugh. First half numbers. After a slow start for Amherst, they pull ahead 33-22. You see the shooting percentage there for the Mammoths and the Owls. The Mammoths with a 21-5 second period performance there, and Amherst only shooting a shade better than the Owls, 30-25, but they've hit 3 threes, a little better from the foul line, and overall you see the rebounding advantage and the turnovers. That's a pretty common result here for an Amherst opponent to have 14 turnovers at the break, as the Mammoths, after trailing 16-12, went on a long run, and they've got that lead that you see right there. Individual standouts for the Owls: 8 points for Hannah Fox and 8 points for Gabrielle Zafiro. I think with those 8 points, Hannah is now the all-time leading scorer at the D3Hoops.com Classic. Again, this is our 10th year of this event, and Amherst has only been here, this is their fourth time. But Hannah's been here. This is her third season playing in it. And again, 43 points against Westfield State. She has 2 of the top 5 performances for scoring individual, 43 against Westfield State and 33 yesterday, or 35, whatever it was, against DeSales. Zafiro had a good spurt there when Amherst was struggling offensively. She had 8 points, also 8 points for Danny Valdez. So those 3 lead Amherst. Madeline Eck with 4 points on 1 for 5 shooting, and Maggie Shipley, the freshman from Virginia, with 5 points. Keene State, it's Tamara Gagne with 10 points. She had 8 in the first quarter. Like the rest of the Owls, cooled off in the second quarter. DeRosia with 6 points, 2 points apiece for Adamson and Friedman. And again, not uncommon for an Amherst opponent to struggle to score, as that was the case in that first half. Anything from the first half numbers jump out? Well, before we get that for you, here's the rest of the schedule for you. Second game of our sextuple header, 6 games in a row. Yes, that's the word. You've got, and if it's 7, it's septuple header. You can impress your friends at your New Year's Eve parties with that one. Milwaukee School of Engineering, that's what the MSOE stands for. They'll take on Emmanuel College next. And then you'll get George Fox against University of New England, 2 schools from totally different parts of the country, Newburgh, Oregon, and Biddeford, Maine. Men's doubleheader coming up. Ira, a team that's near and dear to your heart, Wisconsin River Falls. No, Jersey City. They'll play River Falls later on tonight. And then Ramapo in St. Scholastica.
It's going to be an interesting matchup later tonight. To me, I'm mostly impressed with just how Amherst can just turn it on just like that defensively. Keene State scored 15 in the first quarter and then just got railroaded in that second quarter, shooting 2 out of 12. And, you know, if Amherst can keep this going for maybe the first 5 minutes here of this third quarter, it'll be over.
This is maybe the busiest day. Is Hannah Fox. Wow. That's an H for everyone. But her is, she's got a little smile on her face. Oh, a big smile on her face after doinking that off the glass and in.
Next one will be off the barn from behind the bench with her hand behind her back.
Give
her an O.
This is the first real day of first real full day of Division III basketball. Because of the early start and then the holidays, everything got kind of stretched out. But these 2 schools both have their men's programs in action today as well. And as basket there for Keene State ends the long field goal drought. Amherst men defeated Baruch earlier today, 89-63. The Keene State men are at the Great Lakes Invitational in Worcester, Ohio, and the Owls will take on John Carroll College at 4:30 this afternoon. That's 4:30 Eastern time. Fox, 3 on the way for Courtney Resch is up and good. And Resch, just a 20% the 3-point shooter, but hits that one. And Mammoths now lead by 16 with 8:32 to play in the third quarter.
You know, I were talking about this during the break, that as a team, Amherst not a good 3-point shooting team on the year, just a shade under 25%. But they've also held opponents to 21% three-point shooting. So while it's been an Achilles heel of them, defensively, they have really defended the perimeter well this year.
Again, touch, the inbound or the pass to the post stolen away. Fox coming down the other floor. Resch Dumps it into the post. Hendricks back to Fox. Great ball movement, and Fox cans it. 3-pointer for Hannah Fox, and the route is on, 41-22. 7:54 to play.
Were we just talking about Amherst not being a good three-point shooting team, and then they knocked down 2 in a row?
Well, they're going to need that. It's a third of the game. They're going to need that at some point in either the NESCAC, the conference tournament, or the NCAA tournament. They're going to have a game where the opponent just hits threes and they have to answer. As Fox with the layup, and Fox now has 7 points in 2.5 minutes here in the third quarter, and I think she's not going to see a lot of action at the end of this game, particularly as we mentioned, Amherst only had 5 games coming into this weekend. They're going to get 5 games in 6 or 7 days here.
Yeah, definitely want to rest her. I mean,
in 4 states and 3 time zones.
How many schools can say that outside the UAA?
Yeah, not a lot.
And even the UAA, that would be a schedule you rarely would ever see.
Amherst now with a 43-22 lead on the Owls.
But Fox runs the floor so well. I mean, it was a 3-on-2 breakaway, and she still was able to get so far out in front of the rest.
She's got the best body control of any guard I've seen. Just when she leaves her feet, it never looks rushed. It never looks like she doesn't know what she wants to do, and it never looks like she's out of position to make the play. And that's very, very rare for point guards at this level. As Toch demonstrates some of those same skills, but is unable to finish.
And a good block there, as Resch was able to alter that shot.
Sullivan for 3. No. And rebound controlled by the Owls' Kenzie Bennett. One of 2 seniors, Bennett and Toch, the 2 seniors on the squad for Coach Boucher. Gagne, who had 8 points in the first quarter, drives in. Didn't get the shot. Tamara's fouled, and she'll go to the line. 43-22. Keene State will be back tomorrow to close out the women's portion of the Classic. Free throws coming here for the very deliberate Tamara Gagne, who misses the first. Gagne, 70% free throw shooter on the season, averaging 7.7 points per game. A lot of science majors on this Keene State squad. She's an exercise science major. Toch is a biology major. Nutrition majors. Got the science thing down. If we had a science fair quiz bowl matchup between the students here, that would be pretty entertaining too, because a lot of science majors on Claremont. Obviously, Milwaukee School of Engineering is going to have their share.
Well, they'll win the physics battle.
Yeah. Madeline Eck, shot no good. Just been a rough game here for Madeline.
It's a good move inside for her to spin and create some space, but everything but the shot.
All of those things I said about Fox also apply to Eck. She never looks like she's out of control.
You're just going to miss some of those shots. You know, they have enough weapons on this team that if one of their All-Americans is having an off night, someone else can pick them up.
Now, that is great coaching there by Amherst. Is they've got Courtney Resch now, or Cam Hendricks. It was Hendricks in that case, guarding Hien Toch. So that Toch has to throw the ball. She almost has to shoot the ball just to pass it to get it over the top of the taller defenders. As there's a collision and a foul. 45-23.
Yeah, but Fox, again, doing such a good job of just running the floor, finding space. She could have taken that to the basket herself and was able to dish that off to Hendricks for the layup.
You think about teams for Amherst that could challenge them in terms of you're looking for a team who can press and has height, right? That's what that's the matchup you're looking for. I don't know that there are a lot of those teams on the East Coast. Tufts can press but doesn't have height. Bowdoin has height, but is maybe not the best pressing team in the world, as Fox hits another 3. The only team that I can think of that meets that profile is the other one that's here at this tournament, and Amherst won't play them, and probably wouldn't play them until the NCAA finals, George Fox.
That's who I was exactly thinking of. I mean, George Fox yesterday, their ability to just take Scranton out of their game. That was the matchup when we got the list of teams back in June that were going to be here.
Everyone wanted.
That was the game. That's the game we wanted. I think George Fox is that team that could slow down in Amherst. And again,
they're the team with length, and George Fox plays that 40 minutes of pressing offense.
And it's a shame. That's a matchup that, by and large, we won't see until the Final Four.
Until an NCAA championship game, even with the regional nature of the tournament. Again, if Amherst plays well in the regular season, they won't leave LaFrac for the last literally month and a half of the season. Because the NESCAC tournament is 2 weekends. And then, I mean, if they get through, and again, we're assuming a lot here. There's no guarantee they're going to beat Tufts or Bowdoin or beat either one of those teams again in the conference tournament. But if that would happen, they would host the first weekend and very likely the second as well.
What is great about a tournament like this, and obviously this is a rare instance of 2 teams that are so geographically close to each other actually playing out here in Vegas, but by and large, you have an opportunity to play teams that you're not going to ever see, sans the NCAA tournament, of course. Yeah. But to play them in a regular season, number one, just to get that different style of basketball just makes it for a better college basketball experience, both players and coaches. Yeah. But it's going to make you so much better in the second half of the year. So you're going to have those basketball experiences to draw back on when you do eventually get into some – there's going to be some moments where it's not going to be so easy for Amherst. You're going to have some of these NESCAC games where they're going to be challenged, and it's going to be a closer game in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, the other team who kind of got that George Fox-type profile is another team Amherst wouldn't see until very late in the tournament. That's Hope College. They've got great length in their guards, and they also play very, very tight and can play pressing defense. Free throws here for Keene State, who's gone quiet after their short start, as Dave is keeping a running tally of it's a 34-7 run now, or whatever that would be. That's a marathon, 34-7, and it is, again, not close to the record for the Classic, where Amherst outscored WPI 50-0. And one of the uglier games of the Classic, and Kate Sullivan hits her first 3 of the game. She's 1 for 2 now, and the Mammoths are now 7 of 15, so that's going to help the shooting percentage. Yeah, I did have the call on that one as well. I am the house announcer for Lopsided Amherst wins. The shot is up and off the mark. Rebound control.
The house never loses.
Yeah, for Leah Pelkey, and Amherst doesn't either. Not at this event. Gagne. 8 on the shot clock. There's just nowhere to go. The shot is up, no good. Gagne gets it back. Shot up. Yeah. Good perseverance there for Gagne, who's the first Owl. Well, in the double digits, she's now got 14. One player I'd like to see a little more time from here, I don't think she's on the floor at all at the moment, is Haley DeRoja, just because she has such a nice-looking shot. DeRoja on the bench, she's got 4 turnovers.
Well, that was the one freshman on this young squad that we kind of highlighted in the pregame, but has not had a great effort so far.
Gagne's 3 is an air ball, controlled by Kate Sullivan.
We're starting to get to that point in the game where I'm looking at the schedule for the year and seeing what Amherst's most lopsided win has been so far, and unfortunately I saw that
it's
game.
Jersey City,
yeah,
isn't
against us.
Yeah, well, that is not likely to stay the case, but well, who knows? You never know. They came back again. They lost to Emmanuel on a game where they just shot terrifically, and that's the thing. That's the Achilles heel. I know they're shooting close to 50% here tonight from 3, but you're going to have a night where you don't hit a lot of threes, and if you catch the wrong team on the wrong weekend, your season could be over.
The running joke we had that day, we played them, NJC, we played them on November 17th up in Massachusetts. We lost that game by 56. We were without 3 starters, so the running joke is if we had them, we would have lost by 36.
There you go. Here's DeRoja back in the game for the Owls, who are, hanging in there as best they can. That shot is blocked again. Samantha Adamson has it swatted. Owls regroup, shot for 3, as the Amherst players swarm to the ball.
Resch just does a good job of just keeping her arms up. She doesn't get into a position where she's going to foul you on the release.
Yeah.
And that's just a great, just the fundamentals of a good shot blocker. She hasn't gotten credit for every single one.
I was going to say, would you believe me if I told you they only have 2 blocked shots in this game?
Yeah, that's not right. It's not even close to being right. That was a clear block right there. But
would you believe me if I told you they only have 2 more rebounds than Keene State? 23-21.
Yeah, but the block totals are not close, so whoever is, and I hate to criticize statisticians, but they need to read
they are
the rule book.
Conservative, yeah.
Conservative. They need to read the rule book of what a block is.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, that too, Dave. I could agree with that. Yeah, so the Amherst block totals will not be as abundant as they probably should be, but we've seen them. They really do block some shots.
Well, I tell you what, if you're Craig Kaufman and you're back home, first off, congratulations on the new baby. Second off, I hope you get some sleep at some point. Third off, if you're watching and you want to restat this game for blocks, go ahead. You got the baby in one arm and the computer with the other, so you can restat this for blocks.
I mean, it is a neutral site game, so technically you can go back in the video.
Is that the rule? You're able to do that?
Yeah,
okay.
It's a neutral site game. You can go back and, if obviously you should let the other school know what's going on, but if you rewatch the video and you see that, you're missing 19 blocks, I guess you can add them in.
Keene State with the ball. First action of the game for Ariana. Is it Hebert? Is it the French pronunciation, like the old hockey goalie, or is it Hebert?
Trying to take a look at that one.
Oh, we don't have a note, so we'll go with Hebert.
We have pronunciations for almost every player, but not Hebert. Let's have a little fun with it. If we're not sure, let's go with the French.
Well, the story there.
New Hampshire's not that far from Canada.
Yeah, Guy Hebert, who is a longtime goalie for the Anaheim Ducks. We can get these stories in because Amherst is up by 23, make it 25. Guy Hebert, longtime goalie for the Ducks. His actual pronunciation of his name was Guy Herbert. But he thought that didn't nearly sound hockey enough, so he went by Guy Hebert for his entire career. Yeah, it's because similar to Joe Theismann, who was Joe Theismann until he switched it up because it rhymed with Heisman. See all the interesting tidbits you get here? That is, yeah.
I think Resch definitely blocked that one.
Shot from Zafiro.
And that was a
foul.
Block. No, that's going to be a foul.
Oh, okay.
You're going to get a foul on this last-second desperation shot. Probably not the defensive stand there that head coach Keith Boucher, which is pronounced the French way, was looking for there at the end. But it'll be 2 free throws with .3 on the clock.
We're going to revert to a radio call here because I think our camera is not showing. All right, I'll bring you the scintillating action here. Zafiro, a couple of dribbles, free throw is up, and it's no good. I know this is captivating. It's a 25-point game. Zafiro, now you can see.
I think our camera operator thought it was the fourth quarter.
Oh, that was a 3-point shot too. So a third one coming here for Zafiro. Who's got 9 points. Yeah, 6/10 remaining. And she hits 2 of 3. So now that's the end of the third quarter, and we'll take the break as the Mammoths, with a Mammoth-sized lead, they lead by 27.
The love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important. But as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. And in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
It was 112 points for. Yeah, it was 112 points was the previous record.
Welcome back. Amherst going to get some new players out here on the floor. First action, well, not the first action of the tournament. Sorry, Lauren Pelosi played yesterday. She's standing right in front of us from Taft School. along with Zafiro, Maggie Shipley, Danny Valdez, and Cam Hendricks. If you switch Hendricks out, ladies and gentlemen, your 2020-21 Amherst College Mammoths. That would probably be the starting lineup right there. Switch out Resch for the senior, Hendricks, and there you go. Oof. Drive in, shot, no good, but a blocking foul. Strong take from the freshman from Arlington, Virginia, Yorktown High School. 2.4 points per game. Limited action here for the Mammoths, who have a little larger roster than usual. And some of their deep tournament runs, they had 9 players or 8 players. I thought that the rest of the team missed the bus, and that was just it. That was all they had. And with Gromacki, a little bit of a smile on his face, because I think he knew where I was headed when I started the line of questioning. He said, yes, a few more players than usual. 2 more players on our roster than we normally have. Hard to imagine it would be lack of interest, right? Elite liberal arts school, one of the best programs in the country.
Sure cuts down on recruiting.
Yeah, cuts down on the recruiting costs. Although that also probably not a huge concern for Amherst, I wouldn't think. 59-30, under 10 minutes to play. It's a 45-16 game since Keene State had a 17-14 run. Ball poked away. Pelosi loses it. Keene State, Tamara Gagne. I look forward to seeing what the Owls can do in a game where they're a little more evenly matched with their opponent. Because, again, the fact that they beat Mass Boston tells me that they've got some spunk. And that's a conference where I think everybody makes it. If not, it's like one team misses out. There's like 8 of 9, or they may even have figured out a way to get all 9 in. So it's not really a matter of making the playoffs.
It's getting that matchup that lets you get past the first game.
Exactly, and it is by New England standards. Now, folks in Texas or California or whatever would laugh at this, but by New England standards, it's a rough travel conference. It goes all the way from Eastern Connecticut, which is the northeastern corner of Connecticut, basically Rhode Island. Rhode Island College is Rhode Island, obviously. And all the way up to Castleton, Maine, Plymouth State. So those are not fun road trips, and not a fun road trip in the snow on a weeknight. And you would really rather not be, on the road at Eastern Connecticut, on the road at Mass Dartmouth, on the road at Mass Boston, or however it shakes up.
Nah, that's a great point. We actually kind of get spoiled down in the NJAC, where your furthest ride is probably Ramapo to Stockton, Ramapo to Rowan, maybe 2.5 hours, 3 hours max, not including traffic, of course. But, we do get spoiled. And then you see these Texas trips where 9 to 10 hours.
Sul Ross State to Louisiana College, which is, 3 days or whatever it is.
I can't even imagine. Yeah. We did a 10-hour bus ride last year for the NCAAs from Jersey City out to Marietta, 493 miles. And and then we lost in the first round, and we were back on the bus for 10 hours, and that's a full day of my life I'm never going to get back.
I know Delaware Valley, one of the schools I cover, Keene State has a shot clock and a traveling violation. Take your pick. They had the same trip, from not too far from Jersey City to Marietta. And Ohio is a big state.
You don't realize until you're on a bus driving through West Virginia through the mountains. Yeah. And you know what? I think you appreciate a little bit more how lucky, number one, that you are to compete on the eastern part of the country, where you have so many schools. Where I was talking about how our men's team had never competed west of the Mississippi in the regular season ever. Well, you don't really have to because you have 300 schools that are probably within a 6-hour driving distance.
That's one of the reasons you also don't find too many of the NESCAC schools at this particular tournament, or most of the other ones that are like it. So Amherst is a regular, very thankfully. But I think I don't know that we've ever had another NESCAC team, other than the Middlebury men a few years ago, at this event, because they're in New England. There's so many schools they can get to. They just, if they're going to go far, they're going to probably go West Coast for an alumni or a recruiting-based trip. They're going to go to Southern California, which Bowdoin does regularly. But there's just so many teams near them that they don't have to hit the airport too often.
I mean, you could say that about a number of the leagues on eastern part of the country as well. The NJAC, obviously, this is our first time here as a team. I've been with you guys, almost every year now, but our team's only been here once. But Ramapo, they make this an annual thing. They're that rarity like in Amherst that they have this almost automatically built into the schedule. And, they've been able to do the fundraising to make it possible because a trip like this does.
It costs money.
It definitely is a commitment. But to me, our men's coach has said to me so far that he's so thankful that they come out just because of the bonding experience that these guys will never get on a road trip to, I don't know, to somewhere in the Midwest.
Right.
With that said, I think it would be valuable once every 5 years or so for schools to make these kind of trips.
Well,
I haven't seen the Calvins or the Hopes or those kind of schools come out here.
You can make it part of your recruiting pitch. I know there are a fair number of schools. Some do it every other year. Some do it every 3 or 4 years, where they say, at some point in your career here, if you play 4 years, we're going to go somewhere over the holidays. There's a good chance you've never been. If you're from, the type of family backgrounds that the NJAC or the MAC or the Little East draw from. A tournament in Florida, a tournament they don't have too many in Arizona anymore, a tournament in Las Vegas or one in California is a nice perk. Even if it's being on the wrong end of a 30-point game at this point. We'll be back in just a bit. Amherst by 30.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all. It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault. Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
Welcome back. South Point Arena. Amherst comfortably in control of this one, 61-31. And I don't think we're going to see either of the All-Americans the rest of the way for Amherst. In fact, we're going to see some new names right now. Starting with Olivia Patchla, a freshman from Marshfield, Massachusetts, who checks in. She's number 15. That's her drifting towards the ball on the hands of Maggie Shipley. We've got Valdez, Zafiro, and Lauren Pelosi still out there. Drive in, Valdez, shot, blocked. And coming back the other way, Keene State also going to get some new names. This is Ariana Ebert. Also have Samantha Adamson out there. Tamara Gagne, who's had the best game for the Owls. This is Lily Schliemann. And the Owls trying to set something up. 9 on the shot clock. Schliemann into traffic where Valdez and Shipley and a host of other mammoths are waiting for the ball.
Credit to Keene State in this regard. When you do get the initial matchups for this tournament, you do have the opportunity to say, hey, that's not a team that we're comfortable playing. They never said that.
Yeah.
They were like, you know what, this is a game that's presented to us. We're going to accept this challenge and use it as an opportunity. And, yep, they've not had a strong second or third quarter, but they were able to play with Amherst, for a good 12, 13 minutes. If they can figure out how to extend that when they are facing some of the tougher teams in the Little East, it's going to help them in the second half of the season. But more importantly, we were talking about this earlier in the game, Gordon, just the youth on this squad. They're, 2 years removed from being a top team in the Little East. They're not as far away as their record would make you assume.
No, they're not. And again, in a conference that, Eastern Connecticut is very good. Mass Dartmouth and Mass Boston are good programs. But this isn't the NESCAC. You're not trying to scale Mount, Amherst, Tufts, Bowdoinmore. You can work your way up through the program. And again, they're not that far removed from being the conference champs. This is not, a program like some of the ones we have on the men's side here. Take a Muskingum or something, which is really trying to establish its identity overall. Keene State has the identity of being a good program. In fact, I don't know if it's the exact reason that they're here, But a few years ago, we reached out to about 30 women's teams and said, hey, we'd really love to see you in Vegas if you're interested. And we targeted the schools that we knew had really good programs, and Keith Boucher was on that list. And he and I exchanged emails and talked back and forth a little bit about it. I'm not sure if that's the reason they're here. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But that gives you a sense of what they are as a program, even though, again, the last 2 years have been rough, or 1+, as that one's fumbled away. And Hebert brings the ball down the floor. Hebert, nice step through. Can't get it to fall, but a nice step through there by Ariana.
I mean, I think a majority of programs across the country that have had success do have success, and it's secular, where it's not going to be every year. You're going to have your dominant 2, 3, 4 year stretches, and you may have to rebuild for a few years before you bounce back. Amherst is in that rare group of squads that seemingly is good every single year, regardless of who's on the court.
Yeah.
You know, for an Amherst, this has become a tradition being at a tournament like this. Obviously, almost a necessity because of the difficulty in scheduling games. But for a Keene State, a team that is trying to get back to where they were, an experience like this, I don't think you can really quantify just how valuable this is. And if anything, they'll have some great memories. I mean, one of the great, it's not all about wins and losses at this level, and it shouldn't be. It should be about the entire experience. You talk about the holistic experience of being a college athlete. You know, 20 years from now, these young women are going to remember coming to Vegas with their teammates and the experience they had out here. They may remember the score of the games.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to remember the experience much more than what the final score was.
This is a really beautiful line that Ryan Scott wrote in the last Around the Nation. If you're, obviously you're interested in Division III basketball, if you're watching this game, but I encourage you to go on to d3hoops.com and check out the column, which has now slipped, a couple spots off the lead. But he has a story about teams that have struggled out of the gate who have really high expectations. So St. Thomas women are highlighted. The Wisconsin Oshkosh men are highlighted. As Keene State has the ball poked away here. Here's the way Ryan ends this column. He says, in the end, we've got 450 schools playing Division III basketball, and only one comes out on top. If winning is your only expectation, you're in for a lot of disappointment. A core part of the Division III ethos is that winning is not the only thing that matters, even if it's very important and a whole lot of fun. Keep those expectations high, but let's keep them broad and deep too. Remember why we're all a part of this in the first place, and that, I think, captures what you're talking about there. Katie Martineau at the free throw line hits the first free throw. Or hits the second, and a timeout taken here as Amherst is going to get the sophomore from Cleveland, Ohio, Jade Duvall, into the game. And I think we're also going to see Jada Jones here pretty soon. She's got the warm-ups off. Coming up, our next game for this one, you have a chance to see one of the best Division III women's basketball players in the country, Yuleska Tejada Ramirez, who's also one of the best softball players in the country, someone who had started her career as a Division I player at, we'll just call them Fort Wayne for short. It's the Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. It's the one with the really long acronym. Started as a Division I player there, and Yuleska Tejada is Ramirez Tejada is one of the most physically talented guards I've seen in a long time. And she was a big reason why Amherst is not undefeated, for as much as we've heaped praise on the Mammoths throughout this game, is Ramirez Tejada and Emmanuel beat Amherst earlier this year, and you'll get a chance to watch her coming up against Milwaukee School of Engineering, another one of those programs that's trying to find its footing. Valdez outside. That was an interesting looking three-point shot delivery. Snaps off the wrists there of Pochla. Pochla gets it back. Valdez, no.
Another block there.
As Hebert comes down with the ball. Hebert and Martineau and the extremely French. It sounds like they should be playing second line for the Bruins or something. Martineau drives to the left side.
No Quebec Nordique references?
No. I figured they would be Bruins fans more than anything else in New Hampshire, but I could be wrong. I guess Montreal would be an option too.
Resch with the ball is the only player on this Amherst squad that's actually from this part of the country, out of San Francisco. Otherwise, you look at an Amherst squad which has, and the NESCAC as a whole does a really good job of recruiting nationally just because of just the liberal arts education that you receive it. But majority of the rosters in New Jersey, New York, other New England areas, Massachusetts, Connecticut, of course, and then that just pops off the page that Resch is out of San Francisco. So, opportunity for her to play in the time zone that she's used to. Very few teams in this tournament are from the Pacific time zone. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I know for talking to some of the guys, both for NJCU and for Ramapo, it is a little bit of an adjustment.
No, it's very, well, yeah. I'm not playing basketball, so I'm sure it's much harder for them, but it's extremely disorienting. Part of the reason is they're only playing one game, and we're in here for 14 or whatever it is with no sunlight or whatever. But
we just get a lot.
I have no idea what time it is, what day it is, what anything it is. I only go by the basketball schedule while we're here. But I can imagine if you're playing a game, it's extremely disorienting.
I was surprised just how tired our coaching staff.
Yeah.
Last night, I'm still all full of energy after doing 4 games. With you guys yesterday. We went out for dinner after the last game, and by 11 p.m. they were shot.
Yeah.
I'm not used to seeing them be
2 o'clock in the morning for them, right? So.
Yep.
Now, Lindsay Cleary, we talked with her in one of our D3Hoops.com classic conversations, and she was talking about she's the senior center from Claremont Mudscripts, which is also in the western part of the country here, and 3 hours from Vegas, and she was talking about how hard they were finding it to make the adjustment because they got on the bus very early yesterday morning, drove here. We're here to practice at 12, played the game, and I said, so, our traditional what are you going to do besides basketball question, it was basically sleep. Wow. They're going back to their room to sleep. They'll play the game against the Sales and get back on the bus and drive back home tomorrow. So
you would also imagine with just how challenging of an academic regimen they have there that they probably don't get a lot of sleep on a normal day anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
This is catch-up time.
Jada Jones, freshman in the game from Randolph, Virginia, from the Hun School in New Jersey. His 3 is up and good to the delight of the Keene State bench. Love that. Brianna Medalist for 3. And the starters for Keene State have flipped roles here and now are playing the role of cheerleader. Enjoy Brianna's 3.
Hun School has actually had some professional players produced over the years. Football, I've had some from my memory. One played at Florida State. Very, very small elite private school in New Jersey.
Yeah, those liberal art or those elite private schools tend to be kind of feeder schools for the NESCACs. The Hun School and Felix Exeter Academy and all those Tabor Academy, all those places. 3 on the way, up and good. If you've seen Dead Poets Society, that should be the mental image in your mind, minus the theatrics.
That is a tremendous reference.
You think anybody gets it? Is that too old a movie at this point?
I mean, we're both in our 40s, so we've seen some great classics over the years that I think listen,
what would be the equivalent? What would be the millennials' version of Dead Poets Society?
Oh my God!
What's that? There isn't one. Oh, let's see. There's got to be some kind of New England elite high school pop culture. I remember I went to college up there. I was from a public school which did not, we had something like 30% of our class went on to college. It was a very blue collar high school. And when I went to college at Trinity, which is an Amherst conference, so many of my college classmates went to these schools. Phillips Exeter Academy, Groton School, the Taft School, the Hotchkiss School. I didn't understand if these were high schools or not because none of them had the name high school in them. And any high school I had ever been to had that name in it. I didn't know. I was like, okay, so what exactly is Deerfield Academy? Is that a high school? Is that Salisbury School is another one, Pomfret Prep. I had no idea that there were high schools that didn't have the name high school in it. I also had never seen lacrosse before. Those were my two cultural things, and I didn't know what squash was, other than a vegetable.
Squash was something that I had to learn later on, but growing up in New Jersey, lacrosse, even in the late 80s, early 90s,
was a thing?
Was already a thing, yeah. A number of my former classmates went on to play at Rutgers and Division I.
I'm sure it's different now, but growing up in the Lehigh Valley and kind of steel country in Pennsylvania, lacrosse was just a town somewhere in Wisconsin, as a 3 is on the way and no good.
A 2-hour bus ride from Minneapolis, as we found out the hard way.
69-39 here. Glad you appreciate you staying with us for what has turned into coffee talk here over the last 2 quarters. And again, look forward to seeing what Keene State can do tomorrow with a little more even matchup, and look forward to seeing what Amherst does the rest of the season, as they'll be in the mix in the national picture as they always are. Hebert drives in. Shot on the way from Molly Grant, who's checked in. Molly, the freshman from New York.
This will end up being Amherst's second most lopsided win of the season. And, for them to come out here, this is a long stretch of basketball in a very short window of time, but leave here healthy and 2-0 is a good weekend for them.
Drive in. Metellus puts it up. And that's the way the game ends. 2 points. 2 more for Metellus. And that gets the final margin to an even 30. As Amherst College, after a slow start, wakes up, runs away and hides, and heads off to Southern California with a 2-0 appearance here at the D3Hoops.com Classic, meaning that the Fox Eck Hendricks tandem will finish 6-0 overall in their career here at the Classic. And again, Southern California for a couple of days, back to Boston for a day, and then down to take on another ranked team, undefeated Widener, in Chester on January 4th. For Keene State, some time to enjoy the sights and sounds. Got a lot of smiles on their face, and I think, Ira, what you said, this was never going to be about the final score for them. This was going to be about the experience. And, one thing I think you see this a little more frequently on the women's side than on the men's side. The body language is still fairly positive, despite the fact that was a 30-point loss.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point you just made. On the guys' side, I think that they're going to wear that a little bit more, the emotions on the sleeve, and take the losses a little bit more personally. I think Keene State, as we were talking about earlier, realizes that, listen, this is a building process for them. This is a great opportunity to be in Las Vegas, Nevada, right before the new year and playing college basketball, and regardless of what the score is on the board, just what a great experience for them. They can have another chance to come out tomorrow and see if they can turn the corner a little bit. But, they were, unless Amherst just had it fell off a cliff in terms of their playing. They were not winning today. But you know what? Came out, they had a very solid first quarter. And they had a few moments of brilliance in this game. Just not a matchup that they were going to be successful in.
Final numbers here. Amherst shoots, 25 of 56 from the floor. Is the Mammoths shoot 45%, 36% from 3, so ahead of their season average, which is about 25. And 81% from the foul line for the Mammoths. Owls shoot 28% from the floor, 21% from 3, and 56% from the foul line. Rebounding advantage in favor of Amherst, but not by as much as you might expect, 33-28. The Mammoths officially blocked 4 shots in that game. In terms of assist to turnover ratio, something to watch. A 1-to-1 ratio for Amherst, 16 plus to 16 minus. This is the sign of an Amherst defense. Keene State minus 19. They had 4 assists to 23 turnovers in that game. Hannah Fox finishes this part of her college career, with obviously a lot more of it to go, as the all-time leading scorer at the D3Hoops.com Classic. She had 18 points in this game, breaking the record held not for a game, but for a career by Thomas Bonnicum of Ramapo. 16 points for Maggie Shipley off the bench, who scored a lot of those points while we were talking about other things. Gabrielle Zafiro, who was the offensive spark plug when Amherst was trailing early, she had 8 quick points. She finished with 10. Danny Valdez with 8. quiet night for Madeline Eck. She was 2 for 8 here and had 6 points, but she will have unquestionably other games where she's called on for more. Tamara Gagne with a nice game for the freshman. She had 14 points, 8 in the first quarter. 6 points for Haley DeRosa in limited action there in the second half. And in terms of assists, 4 assists for Cam Hendricks, who Courtney Resch had 3 points, but when she was on the floor tonight, or this afternoon, Amherst was plus 29. So the Mammoths, again, 2 big wins, 2 games in California, then to Philly for the game with Widener, and then into conference play. And for the Owls, smiles on their face and one more tomorrow, a chance to try and get back to New England with a victory. The final thoughts on this one, Ira?
No, just for Amherst, kind of what we expected out here in the second game. They had a very meaningful win for them yesterday against the Sales. First time that they've really faced adversity in this tournament, and really came through with flying colors. And then this game, this is a matchup that just 2 teams that are on different playing levels at this point. But Keene State's going to have another chance to come out here tomorrow and see what they're able to produce. And for Amherst, this is shaping out to be another very special season, which for Coach G.P. Gromacki, seems to be year after year.
Well, as good as Gromacki has been, there is one guy who stands atop Division III in terms of active career victories, and his squad comes up next. Andy Osinoff and the Emmanuel College Saints out of Boston, Massachusetts, take on the Milwaukee School of Engineering out of, fittingly enough, Milwaukee. It'll be the Raiders and the Saints coming up in just a bit, right here from Las Vegas. For those of you tuning in from Amherst and Keene State, have a pleasant afternoon, pleasant evening, and Happy New Year.